Hello, I'm Dr. Sam, this is Dr. Sam's Health, and today I'm going to talk about my epic journey. You could see in my previous video that I visited a colleague of mine and a friend of mine, Dr. Stephen DeVos, aka the Lifton Dermatologist, at his private practice, and we had a field interview there, but that was just a tiny little bit of my travels. A month ago, I was planning a series of trips to multiple destinations. I would go to several places in North America. I would go to New York, Boston, Ottawa. Then I would come back and I would fly to Europe. I was going to attend the big conference of the European Psychiatric Association in Warsaw. And then, since I was there, I would go to different locations in Europe. And I always wanted to go to Israel, and I would definitely do that too. And I was sharing my plans with my friends and colleagues, and all of them told me that, it's such an epic story, you have to make your travel vlog. So I decided I would definitely do this, but at the same time I had this revelation that traveling for almost a month would definitely have some detrimental impact on my diet and my weight. So I decided to do my best to stay true to my diet while traveling. And obviously, since I was making this video log, I would try to document my efforts and to see what would be the end result. It was quite an extensive travel, and I decided to break this video into 3 parts. Part 1 will be dedicated solely to my North American travel, when I'll be driving my car to different destinations. Then the second part will be about my travel to Europe and Israel, and the third part will be dedicated to my travel diet rules. So today I'm presenting the first part of my travel, the one that I've taken in North America, and I apologize in advance for the poor quality of my photos and videos. I'm not an expert in this area, I'm just a regular guy who is trying to document his moves, and there will be a lot of noise, very poor lighting, very poor stability of the camera. I was just using my iPhone and a selfie stick, but nevertheless, that is something that I experienced and I would like to share it with you. So let us begin. My journey started at Dr. Sam's headquarters on March 29th. I just woke up, I packed my suitcase, I weighed myself to have some sort of a baseline level of my weight, and I just jumped in my car and drove to New York. The trip to New York was rather uneventful. It was just like 8-9 hours of driving. Unfortunately, my GPS took me through the core of New York and I was stuck in traffic for a couple of hours, but in the end of the day I safely arrived to my hotel. Unfortunately, I arrived at around 10:30, 11 p.m. and as I was checking in I realized that the hotel restaurant is about to close. They actually closed their kitchen, so I couldn't have any proper meal there, and I had to find a way to actually feed myself somehow. So even on day 1 I experienced this typical problem for all travelers when you realize that your nutrition choices are very limited and you're hungry, you are tired, and it's a very easy scenario to give up on your diet and to have something that you wouldn't have otherwise. The only place that was open 24/7 was McDonald's. There was a McDonald's nearby and I went there, and I'm proud of this because I went there with an idea of having a salad. Surprisingly, not every employee of McDonald's there knew that they have salads on their menu. They do. I ordered my salad and it took them, I kid you not, 25 minutes to make a simple salad. I think it was a very pathetic scenario for the iconic fast food restaurant, but what can I do? I was tired, I was hungry, I was waiting for my salad to be prepared, and I wish I had my camera then because I could actually see several employees trying to work it out, and it took them 25 minutes to make a salad, and you could tell how confused they were. But nevertheless, day 1 was clearly a win for me because I had a salad and I was true to my diet and I was ready to start my course the next day. Days 2 and 3 of my travel were not about travel, they were primarily dedicated to this course. I will definitely make a special video about that because it was a very interesting experience. I can say that overall I enjoyed taking this course. It was rather informative and the staff were very nice. My classmates were very nice. Actually, one of them was so impressed with my personal level of knowledge that he told me on day 3 or day 2 of the course that he spoke to his wife and he told her that there is some professor attending the course with them who knows everything. Well, I'm very flattered, and I was very flattered because I am a professor and I know a lot about nutrition and exercise science. But the main reason for me was to take this course because I'm not a strength and conditioning coach, and I don't know much about the perfect technique of exercise, programming, and the organization of the facilities. So that was mostly taught on day 2 of the course, or day 3 of my travel. And I actually managed to make a little video from the course facility, and here we go. So the first stop is this wonderful course, NSCA CSCS course. I decided to take it. Maybe I'll take the exam in a couple of months. Staying true to my dad. Next stop is Boston. I'll keep it Boston. Nutrition-wise, day 2 of my travel was quite boring. I just had a steak with asparagus in the hotel restaurant. Finally, I could get it. On day 3, I checked out from my hotel, and right after the course, I drove to Boston to meet my friends, and I tried to make a video in my car while driving about what's about to happen in Boston. The course is completed. I just left New York, maybe half an hour ago. Driving to Boston, driving through Connecticut right now. In terms of the diet, things are going well. I pretty much followed the low-carb diet. I was planning to use intermittent fasting approach, and I pretty much used it all the time except for today. Today I had my meal, which were just some leftovers of yesterday's chicken and some green veggies. So I'm doing well in that respect. Course, I will make a special video about the course when I'll be preparing for my exam, around the time of my exam, if I decide to take it. I actually did like it in general. There were several things I could talk about, but I will leave it for another opportunity. What else? The temperature is not too hot, so I cannot put my roof down, which I love doing when I'm driving long distances. So I'm going to Boston, hope to be there in like 3-4 hours. I'm going to meet with a friend of mine, and most importantly, it will be a little bit challenging not to have any or like minimal amount of alcohol, and not to indulge in some cool foods, because he's a very hospitable guy and we haven't seen each other for a while. I assume there might be some foods that I cannot consume. I arrived to Boston and met my friend late in the evening. They are actually very nice people. I haven't seen this guy for like 15 years or so. We used to work together, and he got married, and I was about to meet his wife, and he told me that, you know, since we are from the same place, he wanted to, they were actually debating what they should have for dinner. His wife suggested lobster, but they changed their mind in favor of some homemade food, which was borscht. And I was under impression that since we are so close to the ocean, we should rather have a lobster, and that's what we have done. We went out to try to find a lobster. It turned out to be quite a problematic thing, because I arrived around 9 p.m. and it turned out that most of the places close around that time in Boston area, at least in suburbs, and it took us like an hour and a half to actually find a place where they would sell lobsters, and their seafood department was actually closed, but we have convinced the manager to actually reopen the seafood part and sell us a couple of lobsters, and then we went to my friend's place and we cooked them. And I actually made a short video snippet of us having this dinner then. Okay guys, quick update with my friend's place. As I predicted, he's a very hospitable man. I've got this Ukrainian borscht here. I will have a little bit, so we're doing some portion control, and well, it comes with sour cream because that's the way we eat it. As I said, alcohol will be there, again in moderation, and we actually made a heroic act we managed to find some lobsters in Boston at like midnight. So that will be the gist of my meal, the meat of it, and I'm still sticking to my diet. And tomorrow I'm gonna go back to Toronto. On day 4, I worked remotely a little bit from my friend's place, and then I said goodbye to my friends and went back home to Dr. Sam's health quarters. On my way back, I actually had a snack, and I want to explain something. While driving, they have lots of ads for Maine lobster rolls, and they were definitely in season then. So I was very tempted to have some, and I did have one, but trying to be true to my diet, I actually had not a lobster roll, but lobster salad, which was not exactly the same thing that I would expect, but it was a nice meal. And again, on day 4, I was still true to my diet. So I arrived to my place around 9-10 p.m. and I actually managed to have a date. So went to a nice restaurant. I had a steak with some asparagus again, and I even managed to make a very poor quality video there. It was very dark, very noisy. I think I kind of gave up on making this video in the process, but as I will still present it here. Here we go. So, continuing my traveling on a very nice soiree with a friend of mine, and I'm sticking to keto diet. Wonderful steak with asparagus, perfect deal of the night. So I finished day 4 with an amazing date. It was a good company, I had a good meal, and I was still true to my diet. On days 5 and 6, I had my scale available so I could check my weight, and it turned out that I was 4 or 5 pounds lighter than when I started my travel, likely due to dehydration and some travel-related stress, but it was very encouraging. So on day 6, I went to Ottawa. I was going to present my work at the Canadian Armed Forces headquarters. I had to meet with their team there. It was a very nice trip. I even made a video while driving my car there, and here we go. I'm going from Toronto to Ottawa, the capital of Canada. I'm going to make a presentation tomorrow for the Canadian Armed Forces. Yesterday was my kind of day off travel. I went on a date, I had my workout. During the date I actually had a very nice steak, lots of meat, but in the end of the day it was clearly keto diet. So I'm supposed to be doing really well. I will check my weight after I return from Ottawa. Hopefully I'm doing fine and I didn't gain any, but we'll see. It's actually a little bit tiring, though I do enjoy traveling Canadian highways, just because everything is in kilometers per hour, not miles per hour. People are more familiar, and I don't feel like I'm a real foreigner, unlike driving in the US. So that's my update for now. On day 6 in the evening, when I arrived to my hotel, everything around me was either closed or not very keto friendly, so I went to a supermarket and just got myself a grilled chicken, which is always a good solution for someone who is following keto diet. And I pretty much didn't have much time to break my diet or to do anything, so I just went to bed. And the next morning, on day 7, I went to the Canadian Armed Force headquarters. I met with quite a few people there. I met with their amazing clinical team and the team of researchers. I presented my work. I had a couple of presentations to make, and we had a late lunch with a couple of colleagues there. I wanted to say several things about this lunch that I had with my colleagues, because it's a very, very common scenario. When you're traveling, you're meeting your friends, your colleagues, you're going to conferences. There is almost always some situation when you all have to go to some restaurant and have some meal there, and these restaurants are not always keto friendly. It's very difficult to actually stick to a diet. So what I have done, I just had one beer and a very small portion of food there, which was, by the way, very amazing. So I managed to pay respect to my colleagues, to the inviting party, and at the same time not to break my diet very badly. So I did some sort of a portion control there. After that, I drove back. I made another short video snippet while driving. Here we go. Hello again. So now I'm driving from Ottawa back to Toronto. It is pretty much the last part of my car trip, my road trip. I made a couple of presentations today at the Canadian Armed Forces. Very, very nice people, very nice, engaging audience. I did break my diet a little bit, actually twice. Yesterday I bought some seafood and I didn't realize that there was some fake crab meat, which is likely maybe not full of carbohydrates, but it had some. And today I was invited to have lunch with several very nice people at an Indian restaurant. So I'm pretty sure that I had some non-keto food there. So we'll see how it goes. Again, I expected that this kind of things would be happening. No matter what you plan, what you do, you can always, especially when you're traveling, you can always get some sort of non-keto foods, some violations of your diet here and there. It doesn't mean that you have to have a full break of your diet. You can just return back on track, and that is my strategy. So today I'll have a little bit of meat, and that will be it. In the end of day 7, I came home, took a shower, and then I managed to have another date. It was another very nice date. It was late at night, and we just realized that since I'm going away for a couple of weeks, it would be nice to see each other before that. We just had a couple of drinks and some bites there to have. Nothing major. I think I was still true to my diet, more or less, and at least in terms of like number of calories I consumed. The day 8 of my travel was the last day of my North American travel and the first day of my travel to Europe. So I checked my weight again, and I was very pleasantly surprised to see that my weight was still 4 pounds less than on day 1. Again, I think it's mostly due to some travel, stress, caloric restriction and dehydration, but nevertheless it was a very nice number to see, and it was very encouraging. But at the same time I knew that in the next couple of weeks my travel will be much more challenging, because I will have much less freedom in terms of food choices. I will not be traveling by car. I will be stuck in certain locations with very limited food supplies. There will be some parties, there will be some meetings with old friends, there will be some receptions at the Congress, and so on and so on and so on. So I was encouraged, and I clearly saw that I can manage my weight while traveling, but I knew that the second part of my trip will be more challenging, and I have to be very vigilant. So that pretty much concludes the part 1 of my epic journey. Part 2 will be much longer because I have visited lots of places in Europe and in Israel. Likely it will be like at least half an hour long video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe, hit the like button, leave your comments, ask questions, check out my website, drsamshealth.com. We've got quite a few interesting things there for you. And it's time for me to say goodbye, because I've got lots of work to do in terms of editing this video, posting it on YouTube, and then I'll be working on part 2 of this video. Please don't miss it, and I will see you soon. All the best.